is the goal on TikTok? Can't see it at all. There, I see it now. Alright. So I'm live on TikTok and YouTube now. Let me just check the audio on TikTok. Alright, audio's fine. Now first, we're gonna be doing Steno jig. I have it right here. I made it nice and big because last time I couldn't see what was happening on a live stream. What was I gonna do? Oh yeah, I was gonna disable my dictionaries. Doing finger drills first. Howdy, hello. Okay, why not section 8? Finger drill time. These look like they're gonna be terribly difficult. Okay, yeah, I'm having trouble. I'm going so slowly. Oh, I forgot that I need to monitor the live on TikTok. Hold up. I'm so not used to streaming this early. It's really breaking my brain right now. Thank you so much again for kicking off the train. No problem. I figured since I was awake that I could just hop on real quick and stream for a couple hours. Okay, I'm monitoring the live on TikTok now using my phone. Hello, everybody. Damn. Let me just repeat the drill. As you can see, this is also breaking my brain. Finger drills are actually really important. I just never did them before because I was just doing the platinum steno drills. But since I'm not doing that currently, gotta do these finger drills to get my brain ready for steno. That was 59 strokes per minute. Damn. Whoops. Hello everyone on YouTube, TikTok, and well shoot, I shouldn't have done that. YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. Good morning, everyone. Trying to go a little faster right now. But if I think too hard about what I'm doing, it becomes difficult. Damn. Stop thinking. Stop thinking. 64 strokes per minute. Come on. Morning, Melody. Morning to you too, Patrick. Most of the books I recently listened to, which are 2S LGBTQIA plus focus, are nonfiction memoirs or books like Sharonda J. Brown's Refusing Compulsory Sexuality, and aren't exactly cozy reads for stream. Or I would have suggested them. Yeah, I asked all over the place, and I got some good recommendations from the stenography Discord, Open Steno. For 2 books. One of them is called Loveless and is about an asexual, aromantic person, which is perfect because I am also asexual, aromantic. And the second one was about some boys in Australia struggling with their sexuality. What am I even doing? I'm doing stenography practice. These are called finger drills. That's a great one. Awesome. Rebecca Burgess's How to Be Ace. Ooh, cool. It's also good. I'll keep that in mind. I'll keep a little list. It's a graphic novel though? Okay. I'll probably read that on my downtime. EWHRO. Burgers don't exist or hot dogs don't exist? I'd prefer hot dogs not to exist. I don't even eat hot dogs. This is... what the hell? I feel so incompetent when I do finger drills. Okay, I have a lot more to do. Brain no worky. You love cheeseburger and cheese dogs? What's a cheese dog? Is it just a hot dog with cheese on it? Okay, let me start that over. You like this music? It's from the video game Hostile Boyfriend, which is a pigeon dating simulator. All this music is free to use. Why am I gray skinned? It's my model is based off the a black sheep. Why your ears so long? Because there's a sheep. This one's easier to do. As long as I don't think about it too hard. Oh no, I'm thinking. Do not think, only do. No thinking, only do. Thinking, no. "94 strokes per minute. Man. Yeah, my model is a humanoid. "107. P-A-R-A-2. P-K-R-A-2. Okay, this one's pretty difficult. Sorry, I only speak English, so please only use English in my chat. "41. Damn. Blah. I cannot with these finger drills. And there's so many of them, too. I keep misstroking. What is this symbol called? I don't know. It looks like a flower. "34? Damn. P-H-R-O-K-P-A. This one's a little easier to do. This isn't math, this is stenography. Just because something is difficult doesn't mean that I'm gonna give up on it. Okay. I have 9 more of these left. Hello, TikTok. How are y'all doing? $64. STROKHRA. $60. SRAKHRO. $75. Hello, Flynn. How are you doing? I'm currently in the middle of doing finger drills. Hope you are too. I am doing okay. This is difficult though. Stenography kind of make my brain melt. It's certainly doing that to me right now with these finger drills. It's not difficult to learn though. What's difficult is applying it at high speeds. You can get to at least 60 words per minute really easy. It's getting it into higher speeds that's difficult. Can imagine? Yeah. I am currently stuck at 100. So I decided to pivot to different practice to see if I can get my speed up then. So before I was doing practice from this school called Platinum Steno. They put all their dictation videos out on YouTube. I believe the school is defunct now though, no longer exists, but all the videos are still on YouTube nevertheless. So I was doing those dictation practice videos. And then I finished the 140 words per minute series, and I was still not very fast. So I decided to pivot to Steno Jig. Audiobook and textbook practice. It honestly looks like such a cool thing to be able to do. I'm always in awe. Yeah, it is pretty fun. And when you get into higher speeds, it does feel very cool. Okay, I only got 3 more of these. $85. This one's a little easier. As long as I don't think about what I'm doing. No thinking, only do. No thinking, only do. Oh no, I'm thinking. 101 though. Is. No thinking, only do. $61. Oh, done with those. Okay, now I'm gonna do most used words. First, though, I have to re-enable all my dictionaries. There. Let's see how fast I can go now. I'm not even 7. I almost have enough for clap attack again. We'll be lurking through the train as I'm very low on spoons. Okay, take care of yourself. You wish you could sub though? Yeah, I understand. I wish I could sub to like all my friends' channels. sometimes I sub to their channels if I have enough money. And if I don't need all of it. Like the artist who made my model, I was one of the first people to subscribe to her channel when she was still streaming. And I believe she was one of the first people to subscribe to my channel too. So we were basically just trading money. That's a nice thing to do for friends. Yeah, exactly. I've commissioned 2 of my friends for art. One from my friend Sakyu, which I rate into him pretty often. And one from my friend Sadam. It created a logo for me that I've been using. Almost done with this. I'm only planning to go up to 200. What does commission mean? I've heard it a lot, but I don't know what it means. Oh, it's just when you ask an artist to create something for you. So with Sakyu, I asked for him to create what's called a I think it's called a Fumo plushie. So it was just a plushie version of my model. And with Sadam, it was a logo. Oh, and Sadam created my profile picture on Blue Sky too. You understand it now? That's good. Okay, this is the last one I'm gonna do of these quick drills. I'm gonna do the quotes then. You don't have Blue Sky? I also have Discord, a Discord server. It's very inactive though. it's a big server, so if people were to actually use it, it would have a lot of utility. Okay, next I'm doing the post from monkey type. Short ones. $133. I normally join those for one thing only, and that's people usually say when they'll be streaming next. Yeah, I have a bot in the server that automatically tells people when I'm streaming as well. I also had one for TikTok, but it was adding everyone in the server, and I only wanted to at people who are who asked for that. To have the role for it, I could not change that. Happy Raid Train and happy Disability Pride Month to you too. You know what would happen if I suddenly decided to stop going into work? Everyone is here, but you're nowhere near. No, you're nowhere near. Huh. That didn't translate correctly. Communicate. Music can name the unnameable and communicate the unknowable. You forgot that it's this month? I only remember. Thank you for the follow on TikTok. I never remember any of the Pride months besides June. Like I didn't even know that there was a Caribbean Pride month until I saw someone posting about it. Stenography is so impressive to me. It's impressive to me too. I admire the people who are very fast. All I remember is June. Same here, same here. Two things are infinite: the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. How do I write universe? There. That's how you write universe. The spirits that I summoned up, I now can't rid myself of. Okay, I don't know. No. I was starting to think that you were gonna leave me behind. Thank you for the like on TikTok. Okay, I need to add what I need to my dictionary. It is not there. There. It is in my dictionary now. Hello, are you a kind person? I hope to be a kind person. I have an idea from when the raid happens if it hasn't happened already. Oh, okay. Tell me what your idea is. Well, I believe I'm the one kicking off the raid train though. But I have another slot in a few days. Oh, hi, what are you doing? I'm doing stenography. I'm practicing so I get faster. I love you like a love song, baby, and I keep hitting repeat. I'll just wait then. Oh, tell me what your idea is. How fast am I? I'm about 100 words per minute. There must be quite a few things a hot bath won't cure, but I don't know many of them. Why is there a plus sign in the middle of that word? Okay, I'm 50. You're at 50 words per minute? Okay. Oh, sorry, I didn't finish. Attack? Clap attack. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's a good idea. This one, I can do many briefs for. If you don't know what you want, how are you going to know when you get it? 158. You have to go. Bye. I have long loved you and loved you even before I knew it, that I did. If one has only one good memory left in one's heart, that may sometimes be the means of saving us. 139. You're not brave. You've merely forgotten the fear of death. Allow me to reacquaint you. We know what we are, but not what we may be. We swears to serve the master of the precious. We swears on the precious. I am not pretty. I am not beautiful. I am as radiant as the sun. Of all creatures... Wow! Thank you for the roses, Code Dave. I really appreciate that. Nothing is bred that is weaker than man. 17 roses? Hell yeah. Thank you. Oh, we could be the stars falling from the sky, shining how we want, brighter than the sun. Courage is resistance to fear, mastery of fear, not absence of fear. All we really want is for no one to have a boring life, to be impressive, so we can be impressed. No one in the world needs an elephant tusk but an elephant. That's true. Never become used to anything you love. It blunts the edge of appreciation. What is better? To be born good or to overcome your evil nature through great effort? You are willing to die, you coward, but not to live. How do I write coward? Look up window. Where is it? Oh, it's over here. Coward. Okay, I see. K-O-U-R-D. $147. I was already slipping when you happened to punch me in the face. The two events are not related. 163. I'm not so good with the advice. Can I interest you in a sarcastic comment? You can't get back what you've lost. What's important now is what is it that you still have? Okay, soon enough I'm gonna switch to the textbook. So in a few minutes. No matter what kind of past you had, don't lose sight of yourself. That's from Angel Beats. That's an anime that I watched when I was younger. I still love the, in Angel Beats, there is a band, and they actually released a bunch of music from the band, the virtual band. And it's some of my favorite songs. The virtual band is called Girls Dead Monster. All of the music is available on YouTube. Whoops, I didn't mean to exit. Well, hello, Speechless Gaming. How are you doing? Thank you for the likes. Alright, I think that's it for Steno Jig. Okay, let me bring up Notepad. I'm just rearranging the windows on my monitor. So, we are in Chapter 11, Crimes Against Property. Let me see how long this chapter is. Pretty long. It is 96 to 105 pages, but really it's 96 to 102, so it's just 6 pages. Okay. Chapter 11, Crimes Against Property, which should not be a thing, but whatever. Anti-interrogatory. The wrongful taking and carrying away of personal property of another with the intent to steal is A. Trespassing, B. Larceny, C. Asportation, D. Extortion. There. Extortion is written correctly now. Learning objectives. Identify the elements of larceny, including distinguishing grand larceny from petty larceny. Explain how embezzlement is different from traditional larceny. Contrast larceny by false pretenses from traditional larceny. Hello, Lydia. How are you doing this morning? Distinguish bribery from extortion. Summarize the federal RICO law and explain what money laundering, a type of RICO conduct, is. Explain the crime of receiving stolen property and how circumstantial evidence can be used to prove the crime. Identify what forgery is and what crime just beyond forgery can be committed. Forgery. To be criminal acts, those acts must have exact definitions. In addition, to having to be committed voluntarily. Oh no, I've forgotten how to write voluntarily. Let me look it up. Voltaire. With wrongful intent. This is so that there can be no question about what is against the law. At common law, exact definitions came about by assigning specific elements to each crime. No person could be convicted of a crime unless each element of the crime was proved beyond a reasonable doubt. Most states still define crimes in this manner, but do so in legislatively created criminal codes rather than in appellate law, case law. This chapter discusses the elements of some of the most commonly committed crimes against property. Larceny. The common law definition of larceny is, quote, the wrongful taking and carrying away of personal property of another with the intent to steal, end quote. Larceny comes from the Anglo-French word larcine, which is translated as theft, and often larceny is called theft. Broken down into its elements, this crime consists of the following: a wrongful taking and carrying away of the personal property of another with intent to steal. Wrongful taking. A wrongful taking means a trespass to someone else's property, possession of personal property, excuse me. More precisely, it is the exercise of dominion and control over the personal property in the possession of another without the right to do so. Carrying away. In addition to the wrongful taking, a carrying away must occur, which is called an asportation in legal terminology. This act involves a removal of the property from the place it formerly occupied. You'll just save your points for the next time? Okay. To illustrate, in a case in which a thief attempted to steal a fur coat from a store mannequin, weirdly specific, but was unable to do so because the coat was attached to the mannequin by a chain, the court ruled there was no larceny because the coat was not carried away. Instead, this would have been the crime of attempted larceny. A substantial substantial? I don't know how to write substantial. Excuse me. S-T-A-L-G-S. S-T-A-L-G-S. Substantial step to commit larceny, falling short of its completion. But this offense was not placed in the original charge. Consequently, the defendant was protected by the right to freedom from double jeopardy. However, in another old case, a thief opened a cash register and picked up some bills, but dropped them back into the register drawer when he was discovered by the owner. In holding that a carrying away occurred, the Supreme Court of Ohio said if he had actually taken the money into his hand and lifted it from the place where the owner had placed it, taken the so as to entirely sever it from the spot where it was so placed with the intention of stealing it, he would be guilty of larceny, though he may have dropped it into the place it was lying upon being discovered and had never had it out of the drawer. End quote. Eccles versus State. That case is still cited as the law in Ohio on theft as recent as 2013. Personal property. The subject matter of larceny must be personal property, parentheses, also called goods or chattels. Parentheses, which was historically how do I write historically? Excuse me. Okay, that is historically defined as, quote, everything that is subject of ownership. Ad break is starting in a minute on Twitch. Ownership, not coming under the category of real estate. End quote. Negotiable instrument, parentheses, a written unconditional order or promise to pay money, which can be transferred by the original receiver to others, in parentheses, such as a check, draft, or promissory note, was not the subject of larceny at common law, as it was not personal property. Such an instrument is called a chose in action, which is evidence of a right to property. Hi there, part of the raid train. Wanted to pop in and wish you luck. Thank you. Oh, ad break ends in 3 minutes. Okay. Ad break ends in 2.5 minutes. My ad break already over? Thanks, Twitch. Yesterday, I was looking at my sub count on YouTube, and I went from 713 to 715. And I was like, huh, where did these 2 subscribers come from? So I started looking at my videos, looking at the analytics, and the 2 new subscribers came from a VOD. The recent VOD for Metaphor Refantasio yesterday. I was really surprised. I don't know if I've ever gotten subscribers from VODs before. Break ends in 1 minute. Once I'm done with this textbook practice, I'll be moving on to an audiobook. It's called Loveless. It is about someone who discovers that they are asexual aromantic. Melody getting those Russian sub-bots now. You're hitting the pig leagues. The spam bots, they get banned by Seribot. Before I had to do it manually, I would look at my viewers list, and I would just ban anything that seemed like a bot. But Sari does it for me now. Okay, ad break has ended. Can continue with this practice. But not the property itself. Oh, whoops, I forgot that I was monitoring on TikTok on my phone. For example, a check is evidence of the right to the amount of money for which the check is written, but it is not the money itself. Most states have enacted statutes making it a crime to commit larceny in cases of action. To be the subject of larceny, the item stolen must have been owned, okay, that's a typo in the textbook, owned at the time of the crime. Older cases held that it was not larceny to steal a dead body, as a dead body could have no owner. Wow. However, it was larceny to steal the casket containing the body, as well as the clothing on the body, as these things were owned by the personal representatives of the decedent's estate. Wild animals having no owner could not be the subject of larceny for the same reason, even if they were taken from another's land. You didn't get any ads this time either, Patrick? Huh. Wonder why. Real property, parentheses, land or anything permanently affixed, they're affixed how do I write affixed? It's not coming out correctly. Affixed. Thereto. I've never seen someone use the word thereto before. Is not the subject of larceny unless made so by statute. Thus, such things as growing trees, fences, doors, or other fixtures, seaweed, seaweed, and minerals or stone not yet mined. Thank you for the follow on Twitch. Quarried were not the subject of common law larceny. The cutting down and carrying away of a standing tree would not be larceny. However, the carrying away of wood already cut would be larceny. Statutes have been passed. Start eating a cheeseburger? Interesting. What do you mean by that? Statutes have been passed by many states, making it larceny to steal many things not included in common law larceny. I am not absorbing any of this right now. Property of another. The general rule is that a person cannot commit larceny of how do I write his or her again? Let me see. His or her. It's H-O-R, whore. His or her own property from a bailee, one to whom it has been rightfully entrusted but not given as a gift or sold, parentheses. For instance, if one's car is at the mechanic and the owner takes the car from the mechanic's lot as a way of avoiding paying the bill, whereupon the owner would normally give back the car keys, that could constitute theft of one's own property. The property must be taken from the possession of another. The law, however, distinguishes between possession and custody. Custody is the care and keeping of anything. Possession is the detention of property when it is possession is the detention and control of anything. A person is said to have constructive possession of property when it is held in custody for that person by another. Constructive possession is not actual possession, but an assumed possession. For example, a supermarket cashier has custody of the money in the cash register. The store itself, or the store owner, has actual possession of it. Anyone stealing it from the cashier commits larceny from the possession of the owner, which is true even if the cashier is the thief. Drinking some more water. An essential, how do I write essential? Essential, how do I write it? S-E-L-G-S. S-E-L-G-S. An essential element of larceny is called animus furundi. Melody's fave crime, larceny. I am a larcenist. Furundi. Okay. This Latin term means the intent to permanently deprive the owner of the property. Thus, at common law, the borrowing of a neighbor's horse without consent, but with the intent to return it later in the day, was not considered to be larceny. Flip that, chat. It was, if anything, a trespass to personal property. End parentheses. Some more recent cases, although still requiring intent to steal, define larceny as appropriating the goods to a use inconsistent with the owner's rights, thus avoiding the problem mentioned earlier. For example, Indiana's basic theft statute focuses on the defendant's criminal intent to exert, quote, unauthorized how do I write authorize again? The text is so tiny. Unauthorized control over the property of another person with intent to deprive the other person of any part of its value or use. End quote. The intent to steal must exist at the time of the taking. A person who takes another's goods with permission or with the intent to return them, and later changes his or her mind and decides to steal them, is guilty of embezzlement rather than common law larceny. Embezzlement is discussed later. Degrees of larceny. By statute, larceny is divided into 2 degrees. All right, petite again. Petite? No, it's the other one. Pet. Okay. Larceny. Parentheses, usually spelled petty larceny. And grand larceny. The former is usually a misdemeanor. Misdemeanors. How do I misdemeanor? Okay. Misdemeanor. The latter is a felony. The common characteristic characteristic? I don't know. Petty, and I think I can't write that because it's not in the dictionary. Of the property that was stolen. Although the states differ in their how to write distinction. I don't know how to write that. STK asterisk PBGZ. Distinctions between when petty larceny becomes grand larceny. For example, in New York, when the property or services stolen is over $1,000, it becomes grand larceny. In California, the dollar limit for petty larceny is $950, but exceptions are made in the statute such that theft of over $250 worth avocados. Could you do me a favor and look to the side and say, I gotcha? Yeah, I gotcha. Is that what you wanted? Avocados. No problem. Or other farm crops is grand larceny. Oh, and then we have some Latin for fun. Animus cancelendi. I don't even know how to write these. That one's not in the dictionary, so I can't write it. As applied to wills, animus Hacienda. I don't even know if these are in the dictionary. Let me just check first. Okay, that one is not okay. Animus, maybe? How about Defamandi? No. The Relic Candy? Lucrandy? No. Recuperandy? Nope. Signandy? No. No. I'll need to add these to the dictionary. I'll bookmark this. Embezzlement. Embezzlement. Which is essentially a breach of trust, consists of the same elements as larceny, except that instead of, quote, wrongful taking, end quote, a, quote, rightful taking, end quote, occurs. The crime did not exist at common law, but was created by statute to fill the gap in the law of larceny when someone, such as an employee or bailee, was entrusted with property of another and appropriated it to his or her own use, or when property was stolen before it came into the possession of the owner. While larceny and embezzlement share the same ending, wrongfully depriving someone of his or her property, they have different beginnings. Drinking water. To illustrate, if a bank employee were to write cashier's checks to a fictitious employee and cash them himself, that would likely be embezzlement. But if that same employee were to pull cash from someone's safe deposit box, that would likely be larceny or theft. The difference in the two is that in the former, the bank employee would have a limited authority. How do I write authority again? Authority to issue cashier's checks, but not with respect to what is in safe deposit boxes. Almost done. Larceny by false pretenses. Larceny by false pretenses, also called criminal fraud, is another crime created by statute to fill a gap in common law larceny. In general, it is the act of knowingly and deliberately obtaining the property of another by false pretenses with intent to defraud. The elements of this crime are quite similar to the elements of the tort of deceit, which is discussed in a later chapter. Some states have consolidated larceny, embezzlement, and larceny by false pretenses into one statute so that the need no longer exists for the prosecution. The state bringing in the action, in parentheses, to distinguish among them. The defendant is merely charged with violating that particular chapter and section of the statute, which includes all three common law crimes. Bribery, extortion, and coercion. How do I write coercion? It is there. Coercion. It is illegal to give money or other items to public officials to sway their official activity. The giving or receiving of a reward to influence any official act is called bribery and is against the law. The inverse of bribery is extortion, which is the gaining of property or money through some kind of unlawful threat to the owner of the property or money. And so it is also illegal for public officials to demand payment from others for doing official acts. This type of extortion was, how do I write historically again? Historically defined as, quote, the corrupt demanding or receiving by a person in office of a fee for services that should be performed gratuitously, end quote. Public figure extortion, which was historically the exclusive form of extortion, is now a type of extortion. Right, for example, again. For example, Washington State's general extortion statute states that extortion
Just subscribed with Prime.
Thank you for resubscribing, Disgrace. How are you doing today? That extortion, quote, means knowingly to obtain or attempt to obtain by threat property or services of the owner, and specifically includes sexual favors, end quote. Coercion also a crime means, quote, compelling someone to do something by threat or force. Glad that you're doing okay today. I am almost done with this. Rico. Maybe I should add Rico to my dictionary. Yeah, I'm gonna add it to my dictionary instead of finger spelling it. There. Now it's in my dictionary. Whoops.
Ticked _off_ Patrick just redeemed yeehaw.
Thank you for redeeming yeehaw. That site looks easy to navigate for something legal. It is Pearson.com. For just $10, you get access to a textbook for 6 months. Okay, I added Rico to my dictionary. Rico, a federal statute referred to as RICO, parentheses, an acronym I don't know how to write acronym. Never come up before. Acronym? I cannot see the lookup. Okay, I moved it. Acronym. An acronym for the racketeer, influenced, and corrupt Organizations Act of 1970, parentheses, is designed to stop organized criminal activity from invading legitimate businesses. Under RICO, it is illegal to conduct a legitimate business with funds obtained from a pattern of racketeering activity. Racketeering, parentheses, activities of organized criminals who extort money from legitimate businesses, includes many kinds of criminal activity, such as arson, robbery, bribery, extortion, and money laundering. Essentially, under federal laws, one is guilty of racketeering if that person engages in a, quote, period of racketeering activity. I have to struggle with activity. I know how to write it, but actually getting my fingers to do the thing is rough. Quote, end quote. There, end quote. Which is at least 2 racketeering acts within a 10-year period. There are over 30 crimes listed as racketeering activities, including some of the acts listed above. States also have their own RICO statutes. Quote, money laundering, end quote, is a type of racketeering activity and is a metaphor to describe how money acquired through criminal activities is, quote, washed, end quote, so that it can look like it was earned legitimately. That is usually done by putting the, quote, dirty money, quote, dirty, end quote, money through a seemingly legitimate business, which treats it like regular income, so the cash appears clean. Also included in the definition of racketeering are the crimes of mail fraud, wire fraud, parentheses, of federal and state crime involving using wire communications facilities in carrying out a scheme to defraud, end parentheses, and computer fraud. The offense of using mail, wire, or computers to obtain money, property, or services by false pretenses, end parentheses. Those types of crimes are part of the category. How to write category again? Category. Of crimes commonly called white collar crimes. Quote, white collar crime, end quote, is a term first coined by sociologist Edwin Sutherland in 1939 to refer to crimes committed by those with high status and respect, but whose crimes are committed in the course of their employment. Last page. Receipt of stolen goods. The crime of receiving stolen goods involves buying, receiving, or aiding in the concealment of stolen or embezzled property, knowing it to have been stolen. Receipt of stolen goods requires that the receiver have knowledge the goods of which he or she is taking possession were stolen, and the receiver must receive them with criminal intent. One of the major issues in determining the guilt or innocence of people accused of this crime is whether or not they actually knew that the goods were stolen. If they either knew or believed that the property was stolen at the time it came into their possession, or if at any time while it was in their possession they ascertained that it was stolen property and undertook to deprive the owner of the rightful use of it, they may be convicted of the crime. If they did not know that the goods were stolen, they cannot be found guilty. Circumstantial evidence, is relevant here. As opposed to eyewitness testimony or other forms of direct evidence, circumstantial evidence is of an indirect nature and requires someone to draw an inference about a fact. For example, the evidence that the defendant paid an unreasonably low purchase price for stolen goods is often used as circumstantial evidence to prove he or she had knowledge that the goods were stolen. Water. And that's the end of the chapter. Oh, wait, there's forgery. Thought that was the end of the chapter, but there are 102 pages in this chapter. Forgery. Forgery is defined as, quote, the fraudulent making or altering of a writing whereby the rights of another might be prejudiced, end quote. The subject matter of forgery must be a writing or a document that has some legal efficacy. How do I write efficacy? So no. Okay. Maybe I should add this to my dictionary. Hold up. Okay. I have it in my dictionary now. Efficacy. Parentheses. Effectiveness. End parentheses. Such as a deed, mortgage, will, promissory note, check, receipt, or other writing. The forgery of a person's signature to a will that is invalid because of an improper number of witnesses would not be a forgery because the will had no legal efficacy because of insufficient witnesses. People can commit forgery by signing their own name if they fraudulently hold themselves out to be someone else of that same name, sign another's name with intent to defraud, or write something in a document above another's existing signature. It has also been held that to be forgery to obtain someone's genuine signature by fraud in esse contractus. In essay, okay, I see it. In essay, and then there's contractus. Commonly called fraud in the essence. That is, fraud as to the essential nature of the contract, as when a person signs a promissory note which evidences that the signer is agreeing to pay back a sum of borrowed money, thinking he or she is signing a receipt or other instrument. Fraudulent intent is necessary to commit forgery. Thus, if someone is authorized to sign another's name or reasonably believes that he or she has that authority, it would not be the crime of forgery to sign the other's name. Uttering a forged instrument, which would include a check or promissory note, is not only a crime, it is often a separate crime from forgery, which is the making of the false or deceptive instrument. Uttering means offering a forged instrument to another person, knowing it to be forged and with intent to defraud. And that's the end of the chapter. The next one is crimes against the person in human habitation. I wonder what let me look at the table of contents for this one. Okay. I don't think I'm gonna do this on stream because it's all violent crimes. I could probably do homicide though. Crimes against morality and drug abuse. Yeah, I wouldn't do that one on stream either. Terms used in tort law. Yeah, I'll do crimes. Oh, whoa!
Scrack3 just shared 100 bits.
Thank you for the 100 bits. It surprised me. Okay, so I'm gonna do chapters 12 through 14 off stream. Just because of the subject matter.
Lore Curator just traded with 6 viewers.
Hello! Thank you for the raid, Lore Curator. Duty commenced, Lord raid in progress. I see. So hello everyone. I'm Melody Wisp. I am a disabled, asexual, aromantic, agender, trans, non-binary, neuroqueer, neurodivergent Puerto Rican, excuse me, voice actor, variety streamer, and accessibility provider. Today, I am heading the train for the Disability Pride Raid train. The spot became open because of unforeseen circumstances. So I decided to stream for it.
Ticked_off_Patrick just redeemed yeehaw.
And for my portion of this raid train, I am doing stenography practice. Earlier, I did StenoJig, which is a website full of drills. Just now I finished doing legal terminology textbook practice. Thank you so much again. I'm happy to have assisted. I was awake anyway, so I figure I just take my Adderall, I get up, I take my gabapentin too, and I fill in since I was already awake. For this stream, I'm also doing audiobook practice, which I'm gonna do right now. It is a book called Loveless. It is about someone who figures out that they're asexual, aromantic. I was asking for recommendations for the stream, and this is the one I chose from those recommendations. So now we do audiobook practice for the next 30-ish minutes, and then I'm going to raid out. Who am I raiding into again? Let me check. Raid schedule. Little Jacob? Okay. Okay, we're going to do audiobook practice now. I am currently at around 100 words per minute, so this is going to be way too fast for me. But the benefit of it being really fast is that when I practice at a lower speed, it'll feel slow. That is the point of writing to something really fast in stenography. You always want to challenge yourself at higher speeds so that you can eventually get to that speed. It's sort of like when my spouse likened it to when Goku in Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, he at the very end of the series, he takes off his weighted equipment, and he's much lighter and he's faster and stuff. That is exactly what you want to do with stenography. Makes sense. It's similar with strength training IRL too. Yes. Okay, now we do this audiobook for the next 30-ish minutes.
This is a copyrighted work. Unauthorized copying or distribution is a crime punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a fine of $250,000.
Scary. Nice music. Oh, wait, let me turn off the music. There, music off. There.
Scholastic Audio presents Loveless by Alice Osman, read by Billy Fulford Brown. If it proves so, then
I must raid and run to an appointment, unfortunately, but enjoy. Thank you for the raid. Hope your appointment goes well. Goodbye.
loving goes by haps. Some Cupid kills with arrows, some with traps. Much Ado About Nothing, William Shakespeare. Part 1. Last Chance. There were literally 3 separate couples sitting around the fire making out, like some sort of organized kissing orgy. And half of me was like, ew, and the other half was like, wow, I sure do wish that was me. To be fair, it's probably...
Unfortunately, probably won't join the raid train. That's okay. I have another slot later. I believe, let me check my calendar. It is on the 25th at my regular time at 5 p.m. Okay, continuing on with the audiobook.
Probably what I should have expected from our prom after party. I don't go to parties very often. I hadn't been aware this actually was the culture. I retreated from the fire pit and headed back towards Hattie Jorgensen's giant country house, holding up my prom dress in one hand so I didn't trip, and dropped Pip a message. Georgia War. I could not approach the fire and retrieve the marshmallows because there were people kissing around it. Felipa Quintana. How could you betray and disappoint me like this, Georgia? Georgia War. Do you still love me, or is this the end? When I entered the kitchen and located Pip, she was leaning against a corner cupboard with a plastic cup full of wine in one hand and her phone in the other. Her tie was half tucked into her shirt pocket, her burgundy velvet blazer was now unbuttoned, and her short curls were fluffy and loose, no doubt due to all the dancing at prom. You okay? I asked. Might be a tad drunk, she said, her tortoiseshell glasses slipping down her nose. And also, I do fucking love you. More than marshmallows? How could you ask me to make such a choice? I slung my arm round her shoulders, and we leaned back together against the kitchen cupboards. It was almost midnight. Music was thumping from Hattie's living room, and the sound of our classmates chatting and laughing and shouting and screaming resonated from every corner of the building. There were 3 separate couples making out around the fire, I said. Like, in unison. Kinky, said Pip. I sort of wished I was one of them. She gave me a look. Ew, I just want to kiss someone, I said, which was odd, because I wasn't even drunk. I was driving Pip and Jason home later. We can make out if you want. That wasn't what I had in mind. Well, Jason's been single for a few months now. I'm sure he'd be up for it. Shut up, I'm serious. I was serious. I really, really wanted to kiss someone. I wanted to feel a little bit of prom night magic. Tommy then, said Pip, raising an eyebrow and smiling evilly. Maybe it's time to confess. I'd only ever had a crush on one person. His name was Tommy. He was the hot boy of our school year, the one who could actually have been a model if he'd wanted. He was tall and skinny, and conventionally attractive in a Timothée Chalamet sort of way, though I didn't really understand why everyone was in love with Timothée Chalamet. I had a theory that a lot of people's celebrity crushes were faked just to fit in. Tommy had been
Oh my god, this is so relatable. I also thought that people were making up shit. I thought that people weren't actually, like, they were being performative. That's it. I thought people were being performative about crushes and stuff. Because I've never had a crush before. So I thought it was just like nonsense, basically. But it is not true. Other people do experience romantic attraction. It's just that I don't, so I have no no knowledge of it.
My crush ever since I was in year 7, and a girl had asked me, "Who do you think is the hottest boy at Truham?" She'd shown me a photo on her phone of a group of the most popular year 7 boys at the boys' grammar over the road, and there was Tommy right in the middle. I could tell he was the most attractive one. I mean, he had hair like a boy band star and was dressed pretty fashionably, so I'd pointed and said, him, and I guess that was that. Almost 7 years later, I'd never actually talked to Tommy. I'd never even really wanted to, probably because I was shy. He was more of an abstract concept. He was hot, and he was my crush, and nothing was going to happen between us, and I was perfectly fine with that. I snorted at Pip. Obviously not Tommy. Why not? You like him? The thought of actually following through on the crush made me feel extremely nervous. I just shrugged at Pip, and she dropped the discussion. Pip and I started to walk out of the kitchen, arms still slung round each other, and into the hallway of Hattie Jorgensen's fancy country home. People were slumped on the floor in the corridor, in their prom dresses and tuxes, cups and food scattered around. 2 people were kissing on the stairs, and I looked at them for a moment, unsure whether it was disgusting or whether it was the most romantic thing I'd ever seen in my life. Probably the former. "You know what I want," Pip said as we stumbled into Hattie's conservatory and collapsed onto a sofa. "What?" I said. "I want someone to spontaneously perform a song to declare their love for me." "What song?" She gave this some thought. "Your song from Moulin Rouge," she sighed. "God, I am sad, gay, and alone." "Solid song choice, but not as attainable as a kiss." Pip rolled her eyes. "If you want to kiss someone that much, just go talk to Tommy. You've liked him for 7 years. This is your last chance before we go to uni." She might have had a point. If it was going to be anyone, it was going to be Tommy. But the idea filled me with dread. I folded my arms. "Maybe I could kiss a stranger instead." "Fuck off. I'm serious." "No, you're not. You're not like that." "You don't know what I'm like." "Yes, I do," said Pip. "I know you more than anyone." She was right. About knowing me, and about me not being like that, and about tonight being my last chance to confess the crush I'd had for 7 years, and the last chance to kiss someone while I was still a school kid, while I had a chance to feel the teenage dream excitement and youthful magic that everyone else seemed to have had a little taste of. It was my last chance to feel that. So maybe I would have to bite the bullet and kiss Tommy after all. Romance. I loved romance. Always had. I loved Disney, especially the underappreciated masterpiece that is The Princess and the Frog. I loved fan fiction, even fanfics for characters I knew nothing about, but Draco/Harry or Korra/Asami were my comfort reads. I loved thinking about what my own wedding would be like. A barn wedding, with autumn leaves and berries, fairy lights and candles. My dress, lacy and vintage looking. My soon-to-be spouse crying, my family crying, me crying because I'm so happy, just so happy that I have found the one. I just loved love. I knew it was soppy, but I wasn't a cynic. I was a dreamer, maybe, who liked to yearn and believed in the magic of love. Like the main guy from Moulin Rouge, who runs away to Paris to write stories about truth, freedom, beauty, and love, even though he should probably be thinking about getting a job so he can actually afford to buy food. Yeah, definitely me. I probably got this from my family. The Wars believed in forever love. My parents were just as in love now as they were back in 1991, when my mum was a ballet teacher and my dad was in a band. I'm not even joking. They were literally the plot of Avril Lavigne's Skater Boy, but with a happy ending. Both sets of my grandparents were still together. My brother married his girlfriend when he was 22. None of my close relatives had been divorced. Even most of my older cousins had at least partners, if not whole families of their own. I hadn't ever been in a relationship. I hadn't even kissed anyone. Jason kissed Karishma from my history class on his Duke of Edinburgh expedition and dated a horrible girl called Amy for a few months until he realized she was a knob.
Okay, ad break ends in 3 minutes. Well, approximately 3 minutes. Hello, thank you for the follow. On Twitch. Hello TikTok and hello YouTube. Twitch is in the middle of an ad break. I'm not keeping up with this, but I think part of it is the accent. I'm having trouble understanding it a little. Did not like the inclusion of Harry Potter in the story so far. Even if it was minor, like, nah. Don't like that. But so far, it's really relatable. Okay, we got a minute and a half left in the ad break. Approximately. I know people have not been getting ads. Hello, Busby. How are you doing? Ad break ends in 30 seconds. No ads again? Ah. You're pretty lucky today with the no ads. Sometimes Twitch just does that. I've also had times when an ad break was occurring and the ads didn't actually happen for me. I'm good. How are y'all? Doing good. I think I'm doing really good practice today. 19 minutes left in the stream. We're working on an audiobook now. It's called Loveless. You're doing great today? That's awesome. I might stream later again at 5 p.m. Probably, wait, but I did say that I couldn't do the Pearson textbook chapters for chapters 12 through 14, I believe. I need to do those off stream. You've heard of it? That's great. So far, it's very relatable to me because I'm also asexually romantic. Okay, we're going to continue on with the audiobook for the next 18 minutes, and then I'm going to read out to little Jika.
Pip kissed Millie from the academy at a house party, and also Nicola from our youth theatre group at the dress rehearsal for Dracula. Most people had a story like
You're currently reading a book called Ghost Business? Ooh, what's it about?
that. A silly kiss with someone they sort of had a crush on, or didn't really. And it didn't necessarily go anywhere, but that was a part of being a teenager. Most people aged 18 have kissed someone. Most people aged 18 have had at least one crush, even if it's on a celebrity. At least half of everyone I knew had actually had sex.
Oh, BRB is still on the screen. Thank you. Sometimes I just forget, you know? Especially if there's something in the way, like Notepad++, it's all of it is on my second monitor.
Though some of those people were probably lying, or they were just referring to a really terrible handjob or touching a boob. But it didn't bother me, because I knew my time would come. It did for everyone. You'll find someone eventually. That was what everyone said, and they were right. Teen romances only worked out in movies anyway. All I had to do was wait, and my big love story would come. I would find the one. We would fall in love, and I'd get my happily ever after.
These two rival ghost tours tour guides are starting to fall in love? I see. That sounds like an interesting book.
Pip, Jason, and me. Georgia has to kiss Tommy, Pip said to Jason, as we slumped down next to him on a sofa in Hattie's living room. Jason, who was in the middle of a game of Scrabble on his phone, frowned at me. Can I ask why? Because it's been 7 years, and I think it's time, said Pip. Thoughts? Jason Farley Shaw was our best friend. We were
They work for rival ghost tours? I wonder, what's the, are they just, like, competing companies?
Of a trio. Pip and I went to the same all-girls school and met Jason through the annual school plays, where they'd always get a few of the boys from the boys' school to join in. Then after a couple of years he joined our school, which was mixed in the sixth form, and joined our youth theatre group too. No matter what production we put on, whether it was a musical or a play, Jason usually played essentially the same role, a stern older man. This was mostly because he was tall and broad, but also because, at first glance, he did give off a bit of a strict dad vibe. He'd been Javert in Les Mis, Prospero in The Tempest, and the angry father George Banks in Mary Poppins.
It's by Jen DeLuca? Okay. Oh, this is just a list of words I've gone wrong. Own ghost tours business, I see.
Despite this, Pip and I had quickly learned that underneath his stern exterior, Jason was a very gentle, chilled-out dude who seemed to enjoy our company more than anyone else's. With Pip being a harbinger of chaos, and my tendency to feel worried and awkward about pretty much everything, Jason's calmness balanced us out perfectly. Jason said, glancing at me. Well, it doesn't really matter what I think about it. I don't know if I want to kiss Tommy, I said. Jason looked satisfied and turned back to Pip. There you go. Case closed. You have to be sure about these things. No, come on, Pip squawked and turned to face me. Georgia, I know you're shy, but it's totally normal to be nervous about crushes. This is literally the final chance you have to confess your feelings. And even if he rejects you, it doesn't matter, because he's going to uni on the other side of the country. I could have pointed out that this meant a relationship would be pretty difficult should he respond positively, but I didn't. Remember how nervous I was telling Alicia I liked her? Pip continued. And then she was like, sorry, I'm straight, and I cried for like 2 months. But look at me now, I'm thriving. She kicked one leg into the air to make her point. This is a no-consequence scenario. Jason was looking at me through all of this, like he was trying to suss out how I felt. I don't know, I said. I just don't know. I guess I do like him. A flash of sadness crossed Jason's features, but then it was gone. Well, he said, looking down at his lap, I guess you should just do what you want. I guess I do want to kiss him, I said. I looked around the room and, sure enough, Tommy was there, standing in a small group of people near the doorway. He was just far enough away that I couldn't quite focus on the details of his face. He was just the concept of a person, a blob, a generic, attractive guy. My 7-year crush. Seeing him so far away and blurry took me right back to being in year 7, pointing at a photo of a boy I thought was probably attractive. And that made up my mind. I could do this. I could kiss Tommy. I'd had times when I'd wondered whether I'd end up with Jason. I'd had times when I'd wondered whether I'd end up with Pip, too. If our lives were in a movie, at least 2 of us would have got together. But I'd never felt any romantic feelings for either of them, as far as I could tell. Pip and I had been friends for almost 7 years. From day 1 of year 7, when we'd been sat together in our homeroom seating plan and forced to tell each other 3 interesting facts about ourselves. We learned we both wanted to be actors, and that was it. Friends. Pip was always more sociable, funnier, and generally more interesting than me. I was the listener, the supportive one when she'd had her am I gay crisis at the age of 14, and then her I don't know whether to do acting or science crisis last year, and then her I really want to cut my hair short, but I'm scared crisis several months ago. Jason and I had met each other later, but we bonded faster than I'd ever thought possible, given my poor track record for forming friendships. He was the first person I met who I could sit quietly with, and it wouldn't feel awkward. I didn't feel like I had to try to be funny and entertaining with him. I could just be me, and he wouldn't dislike me because of it. We'd all had what felt like 1,000 sleepovers with each other. I knew exactly where the broken springs were in Pip's bed. I knew that Jason's favourite glass in my cupboard was a faded Donald Duck one I got at Disneyland when I was 12. Moulin Rouge was the movie we always watched when we hung out. We all knew it word for word. There were never any romantic feelings between Pip, Jason, and me. But what we did have, a friendship of many years, was just as strong as that, I think. Stronger, maybe, than a lot of couples I knew. Truth or dare? In order to get me physically closer to Tommy, Pip forced us to join a group game of Truth or Dare, which both Jason and I protested against, but Pip obviously won. Truth, I said when it was my turn to suffer. Hattie, who was leading the game, grinned evilly and selected a card from the Truth pack. There must have been about 12 of us, all sitting on the living room carpet. Pip and Jason were sitting on either side of me. Tommy was opposite. I didn't really want to look at him. Pip handed me a crisp from the bowl for support. I gratefully accepted it and stuffed it in my mouth. What's the worst romantic or sexual experience you've had with a guy? A couple of people chorused, ooh. One guy whistled, and one girl just laughed. One short burst of, ha, that I found more embarrassing than anything else. Thankfully, I wouldn't see most of the people at this party ever again in my life. Maybe on Instagram, but I muted most people's Instagram stories, and I already had a mental list of all the people I was going to unfollow after A-level results day. There were a few people at school that me, Pip and Jason got along with, people we'd sit with at lunch, a little gang of theatre kids we'd hang out with in school play season. But I knew already that we would all go to uni and forget about each other. Pip, Jason and I would not forget about each other, though, because we were all going to Durham University in October, as long as we got the grades for it. This actually hadn't been planned. We were a trio of high-achieving nerds, but Jason had failed to get into Oxford, Pip had failed to get into King's College London, and I was the only one for whom Durham was actually my first choice. I thanked the universe every day that it had worked out like that. I needed Pip and Jason. They were my lifeline. That's too far. Jason immediately interjected. Come on, that's way too personal. There were cries of outrage from the rest of our peers. People didn't give a shit about it being personal. You must have something, drawled Hattie in her super posh accent. Like, everyone's had a terrible kiss or something by now. I was very uncomfortable about being the centre of attention, so I thought it'd be better to just get this over with. I've never kissed anyone, I announced. When I said it, I didn't think I was saying anything particularly odd. Like, this wasn't a teen movie. Virgin shaming wasn't really a thing. Everyone knew that people did these things when they were ready, right? But then the reactions began. There were audible gasps, a pitying, "Aww." Some of the guys started laughing, and one of them coughed the word virgin. Hattie brought her hand to her mouth and said, horrified, "Oh my God, seriously?" My face started to burn. I wasn't weird. There were lots of 18-year-olds who hadn't kissed anyone yet. I glanced at Tommy, and even he was looking at me with sympathy, like I was a little kid, like I was a child who didn't understand anything. "It's not that unusual," I said. Hattie pressed her hand to her heart and stuck out her bottom lip. "You're so pure." A guy leaned over and said, "You're like 18, right?" I nodded at him and he said, "Oh my God," like I was disgusting or something. Was I disgusting? Was I ugly and shy and disgusting, and that was why I hadn't kissed anyone yet? My eyes were starting to water. "All right," Pip snapped. "You can all stop being dickheads right the fuck now." "It is weird, though," said a guy I knew from my English class. He was addressing Pip. "You've got to admit it's weird to have got to 18 without having kissed anyone." That's rich coming from a guy who admitted to having a wank over the princesses in Shrek 3. There were cackles of glee from the group, momentarily distracted from laughing at me. While Pip continued to berate our classmates, Jason very subtly took hold of my hand and pulled me up and out of the room. Once we were in the corridor, I was about to cry, so I said I needed to pee and went upstairs to find the loo. When I reached the bathroom, I examined my reflection, rubbing under my eyes so my mascara didn't smudge. I swallowed the tears down. I wasn't going to cry. I did not cry in front of anybody. I hadn't realised. I hadn't realised how behind I was. I'd spent so much time thinking that my one true love would just show up one day. I had been wrong. I had been so wrong. Everyone else was growing up, kissing, having sex, falling in love, and I was just a child. And if I carried on like this, would I be alone forever? "Georgia," Pip's voice. I made sure my tears were gone by the time I exited the bathroom, and she didn't suspect a thing. "They're so fucking dumb," she said. "Yeah," I agreed. She tried to smile warmly at me. "You know you'll find someone eventually, right?" "Yeah, you know you'll find someone eventually. Everyone does. You'll see." Jason was looking at me with a sad expression on his face. Pitying, maybe. Was he pitying me too? "Am I wasting being a teenager?" I asked them. And they told me no, like best friends would. But it was too late. This was the wake-up call I'd needed. I needed to kiss someone before it was too late. And that someone had to be Tommy. Tommy. I let Pip and Jason go back downstairs to get drinks, using the excuse that I wanted to get my jacket from one of the guest bedrooms because I was cold. And then I just stood in the dark corridor, trying to breathe and collect my thoughts. Everything was okay. It wasn't too late.
Patrick just redeemed yeehaw.
Thank you for redeeming yeehaw.
I wasn't weird or disgusting. I had time to make my move. I located my jacket and also found a bowl of cocktail sausages balanced on a radiator, so I picked those up too. As I walked back down the corridor, I saw that another bedroom door was ajar, so I peered inside, only to get an absolute eyeful of someone very clearly getting fingered. It sent a sort of shockwave through my spine. Like, wow, okay, I forgot people actually did that in real life. It was fun to read about in fanfics and see in movies, but the reality was kind of just like, oh yikes, I'm uncomfortable, get me out of here. That aside, surely you'd think to shut the door properly if someone was going to put a body part inside of you. It was hard to picture myself in a situation like that. Honestly, I loved the idea in theory, having a sexy little adventure in a dark room in someone else's house, with someone you've been on and off flirting with for a couple of months. But the reality? Having to actually touch genitals with someone? Ugh. I guess it took time for people to be ready for stuff like that. And you'd have to find someone you felt comfortable with. I'd never even interacted with anyone I wanted to kiss, let alone someone I wanted to... I looked down at my bowl of cocktail sausages. Suddenly, I was not very hungry anymore. And then a voice broke the silence around me. "Hey," said the voice, and I looked up. And there was Tommy. This was the first time I had talked to Tommy in my life. I'd seen him a lot, obviously, at the few house parties I'd been to, sometimes at the school gate. When he joined our school for sixth form, we didn't take any of the same subjects, but we occasionally passed in the corridor. I'd always felt sort of nervous when he was nearby. I figured this was because of the crush. I didn't really know how I was supposed to act around him. Tommy pointed at the bedroom.
Whoops. My live stream on TikTok was taken down for inactivity. I wasn't looking at my laptop. Sometimes they get me for inactivity, and I have to complete a captcha within 5 minutes. If I don't do that, then they take down the live stream. Well, I'm almost... It's time to get ready to raid anyway. All right. We got 2 minutes left. I'll just talk for the next 2 minutes. Let me find the person I'm gonna raid into. Suspicious sheep, as always. Okay, oh, it's just double checking. He's in the middle of an ad break. Thank you so much for joining the train and for filling in for the first slot. You're welcome. Okay. I'm just waiting for little Jika to let me know if she's ready for the raid. Okay. She is ready. Okay, everyone is ready to raid in. I'll either be I might be live later to do more stenography practice, but if I don't, tomorrow is Digimon. All right. See y'all either later today or tomorrow. Thank you for the raid message. See y'all.